Alright boys, on this episode of El Camino Kyle, we're going to be messing with my new 1976 AMC Gremlin base model edition. It's got a 258 cubic inch inline 6 with a 2-barrel carb and a 3-speed automatic. We're not sure, but it does have leaf springs and it does have it's rear-wheel drive. So that means one day this will be getting a V8 swap, as well as traction bars, drag radials, and side pipes. But for now, in today's video, I just bought $80 worth of fluids, filters, hoses, and a whole bunch of other stuff that we're going to dump into this thing and get it running again after 6 years. It's been parked since 2014. We just bought it this morning at about 8 a.m. from a guy down in Springfield, Oregon. That's about an hour and a half south of us. We're up here in Portland. So it looks like a great car from what I've seen so far, and I can't wait to hear it brought to life. So let's get right into it. So like I was saying, it's got a 258 cubic inch inline 6 with a 2-barrel carburetor. That was the highest 6-cylinder engine option that they had of this year. They also came with a 232 cubic inch inline 6 as well as a 304 V8. They also came with 3-speed manuals on the column as well as on the floor. Sadly, we have the automatic, but I am pretty pleased that we do have the largest inline 6. That doesn't matter, I have plans to engine swap it, but before I do that in the next, let's say, year, I will be daily driving this thing, or at least I hope so. So we're going to take the right measures to get this going the correct way. I've got some engine restore, I've got some seafoam, I've got Marvel, I've got new oil, new trans fluid, new oil filter, new trans filter, whole bunch of stuff, new lines, new fuel filters. This thing's going to get the treatment better than it's probably ever been serviced in its life. We're going to bleed the brakes, we're going to adjust the drums. This thing's going to be great. Alright, so what we're going to start with is just the thermostat. So we got to disconnect these cooling lines. You know these are going to be stuck on here, I can already see it. Just popped the thermostat housing off and it is pretty junky. It was just leaking a little bit of coolant. There's not really anything in the radiator, so it's making the mess a little bit easier to clean up. So I'm just going to take a razor blade to this old gasket, both on the housing and the block, clean it up so it's got a good surface. Maybe hit it with some fine sandpaper to get a little bit of this rust off. And then we'll throw in the new thermostat and then move on to the next thing. Alright, so I'm making good progress. Got a new fuel filter, fuel hose, fuel clamps on. Got that thermostat all mounted up with a new gasket. Now I think we're going to, I redid some vacuum lines. Going to do the spark plugs next, probably. Going to check out the condition of those. And then after that, we'll probably battery, test the electrical. I think I'm going to start it with the oil that's in it, make sure it's topped off, just because that's, it's got some extra dinosaurs in it. And then check the transmission fluid as well, because I don't want that pump going dry when it's first started. Radiator's topped off. We'll have to top it off one more time once it starts cycling. And then we'll check for leaks and everything, of course. Yeah, so I'm just going to keep making progress, checking all these vacuum lines, doing the spark plugs. You guys aren't missing anything special quite yet. So I'll probably show you the condition of the spark plugs if there's anything major going on with those. But I'm going to keep chugging along. Alright, so I just finished doing all 6 spark plugs. They all look the same all the way across. Let's see if I can focus on there. But they're all the same carbon level, Oil level, whatever, not much of either, just a normal amount. I had to take the fuel filter line back off to get the spark plug boot back on the 6 spark plug, but put in some NGK Platinum V-Powers. It should do the job. Oil is there. It's not too viscous, but it's good enough to start with. I just like doing that. Training fluids, a little bit brown, but we're good. It's filled. So we've done the cooling system. We've done the fuel. We just got to put some gas in the tank, some Marvel, some Seafoam, that stuff to clear it out. I've shaken the tank. It doesn't feel like much is in there. I'll double check that. We've done spark. I'm just going that the cap and rotor and the coil are all good.
They were replaced recently.
Recently? On the paperwork, that was what, 2011 or something? So they're definitely good.
Yeah.
I'm going with the fuel sending unit's good. I'm going with the fuel pump is good. Coil's good. Carburetor might blow out some gaskets, but it should be good enough to start. So that leaves fuel is done, cooling's done. We don't have to do brakes because we aren't driving it yet. Spark is done. We gotta put in the battery and see if we get power to anything, and then put that gas in. So Noah and I are gonna put that battery in before we mess with the gas situation. So set you up while we do that. Positive towards the front of the car.
Okay.
Actually, just flip it around. Okay. Don't have a terminal cleaner. I should probably invest in one of those. This guy goes here. That's positive. Leave those like that. Turn this light off. Go test something on the inside.
Underglow.
Clean my hands.
You could use that rag right by your feet too.
That hurts so good. Okay. Yep. Okay.
As well as incredibly energetic and entertaining. So if you want some good news,
Sweet. Okay, no, that doesn't work now. We may have just killed the battery. The lights work.
No.
I think we just killed the batteries. Let me throw a multimeter on it.
If not, that other battery there is charged.
I've got 13. Okay. So we can put fuel in it. Is there a drain plug? No drain plug.
Figures.
It's empty.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's empty. Okay. Alright guys, so a little update for you. I've got the car on jack stands. Oh, let me clean the lens. I've got the car on jack stands. Reason why is I drained the trans fluid, I pulled the pan. I'll show you what the pan looks like. Now I've had my fair share of blown up transmissions, but if you look at this, there's barely anything. There's just like, you know, a few little metal shavings. It's not bad at all, if I'm going to be honest. Very happy with it. You know, the color, if you guys have ever had like a Tiger's Blood snow cone, it's like orange. Yeah, it's got like orange flavored Tiger's Blood syrup as trans fluid. You know, 61,000 miles. It was due for a transmission flush. So, you know, we're just doing routine service pretty much. I haven't pulled the filter off yet. I literally just pulled the pan off, set it on the ground, thought I'd update you guys. Did an oil change on it. Oil was good, no metal on that. Oil was decently viscous. That went together, it's topped off. Once I actually run the car, I'll have to add another, you know, half a quart in there to fill up the rest of that filter that fills up. It's at an angle, so I couldn't fill it all the way up. But put a battery in the car. All the electrical works, radio works. It was great. I was listening to the national anthem actually and pledging allegiance to the flag. The AC or the blower motor does work. I don't know about the AC yet. It started just throwing smoke out of the vents. Smelled really bad, so I jumped out and just let it blow out. I haven't sat back in the car yet. But turn signals worked, hazards worked, headlights worked, brights worked. What else is there for electrical? Obviously, I don't know if the fuel gauge or the speedometer works yet. Hopefully the odometer works. So what I'm going to do next is I tried getting the carb ready to fire it for the first time, but the linkage was stuck. Reason being is it's something internally in the carb. There's a lot of crap down in the barrels. So I just had my job order me a new carb rebuild kit. That's coming out of Pennsylvania, so it'll be a few days. I'll probably have it done by the end of this video and hopefully have this thing running. I don't know if we'll drive it, but I'll rebuild the carb. And then after that, we'd have all the gas, all the electrical, oil, engine done, spark done, have the tranny done. I'll probably bleed the brakes tonight. And then, yeah, I'll just be waiting on that carb rebuild kit, and then it'll be ready to fire for the first time. Alright, boys, so diagnosed a little thing yesterday. Found out that it wasn't getting any spark from the distributor. Coil had power. It was the original coil, so I just replaced it with an MSD that I had. So coil's good. Our spark plugs are good, and I tested the spark coming out of the wires. Electrocuted myself a little bit, so that's clearly working. And then I just checked all around the gas tank and replaced all those fuel lines. They were literally so bad, so I don't even think it was getting vacuumed to the fuel pump and sucking fuel yet. So now that we've got spark, we just got to suck some fuel into it and she'll be good to go.
You want any bottle feed?
You can use the fire extinguisher though.
Bottle feed?
Dude, that's other came out of the exhaust. Woo! I saw that one. I may have forgotten to put the ground wire on the fuel sending unit, so it should pull fuel now. What?
It's leaking so much.
What is
Return.
filled?
Don't crank her.
It's fine, it's just gotta fill it. Filter's too big for it.
Lower the filter.
Huh?
Right now the filter's like this. Do it like that. You're leaking.
Leaking more.
Can't tell if it's fuel or oil. Fuel.
Oh yeah. Where?
Or is that oil?
Next to the bucket.
No. Smells like really shitty fuel.
Yeah, probably.
But yeah, you're leaking.
Good. Oy.
Where is that coming from? Wait, what the hell?
Okay, stop. Yeah, stop. It's straight out of the fuel pump.
Here we go. I think it needs to be tuned.
It's leaking.
You're leaking fuel out of the carb. It's like the top. It's like right here on the side. That or it's, was it spraying up?
It was like running across down here.
Oh, it's all the way up here.
That's fine.
All right, boys. So you saw that this was a little bit of a shit show. I wanted to kind of take a second and explain what was going on and also end off the video because apparently I forgot to film an outro. But basically, it's probably like 3 weeks later now, so that's why I haven't uploaded this video, so I apologize for that. But what was happening was it wasn't pulling fuel because this is all after I rebuilt the carb. It wasn't pulling fuel because all the fuel lines were so rotted, so there was no vacuum pulling it up. So I got that figured out, and then it had the wrong fuel filter on it, so it wasn't getting enough fuel, so I put a smaller fuel filter on it. And then the original fuel filter return line was also leaking, so I swapped that out. And then the filter that I had was too big, so I had to go get a smaller fuel filter, put that on there. And then after all that, it was getting adequate fuel. And then there was literally, I'll show you, there was a hole in the side of this fuel pump right here. So it was just spewing fuel out the side. So then I had to go get a new fuel pump, mount that up. And then I had to go get a barb fitting because the original fitting, flange fitting on there was so stripped out. And then after all that, I think it started going, it was stumbling, but it was running. So the carb needs to be tuned. And then basically the reason why I didn't tune the carb and finish this video off was because, like I always do, I got moved on to a different project. So I actually had to take the studs and bolts off of this carburetor, so of course it won't seal, it'll have a vacuum leak. So I could put them on this. Now this is the 401 out of Noah's barn. You can see that I did a wonderful job using those bolts. I have a nut as a washer, a bigger nut as a washer, then a washer as a washer, and then all the bolts and studs off the Gremlin, and then of course missing one there. So I've spent the last week breaking my back over the span of like 4 working days, just tugging that 1,000-pound engine through a barn with a dirt floor. Finally got it up here. So now I got to take the bolts off that, put them back on here. Then I can finally tune this thing up and get it going right, and then we can drive it for the first time. So that's the whole story with that thing. And that's why this video has been so delayed. And I've been working nearly 7 days a week for the past month, saving up some money for college and saving up money for that engine because that eventually will go in here. I think a performance rebuild on that thing is going to cost somewhere between $7,000 and $12,000 just for the engine. And then I need a radiator, then I need wheels and tires, then I need new suspension, new brakes. And then fab a transmission mount. I have a motor mount for this. It's a cross member, rather. So that's going to be like a 2-year project probably that I'm going to get to and save up through college. But that's the gist of it. Wanted to apologize for not getting a video out on time. But today, I'm going to power wash the crap out of that thing and then, try and unseize it because it is seized. So, thanks boys for watching. Thanks for sticking around. Thanks for being patient with me. This thing's going to be really sweet in the future. So I hope you guys are going to enjoy it. I know you want to see more Cougar content. Or if you want to see anything besides these 2 cars, this and the Cougar, let me know down in the comments. Because I will cater to you guys. You guys are paying me like probably 10 cents per video. So, gotta keep the viewers happy. But thanks for watching. Send this to your grandmother. Leave some hate down in the comments below. Thanks, boys.